Welcome one and all to the Ferret Raccoon podcast, episode 209. I am Ace.
And I'm the Angry Raccoon, bringing you the last podcast of January 2023, and it's the boys episode.
Oh yeah, just boys this time.
Boys zone,
no girls
allowed. I'm, of course, joined by Ace, who we haven't seen since podcast 200, which was quite the spectacle.
It was a magical day, I remember.
Magical day, magical episode, and I brought him on board because obviously... New year, new me.
There's been a lot going on.
There's been a lot going on. Although this podcast is quite small in terms of trailers, I think I need a little bit of help with certain things to talk about, stuff and all that. But how have you been over the last 9 podcasts, let's say?
Oh, I have had a lot going on in my life. I've started researching into driving, so I'm going to be doing driving lessons soon.
Oh, that's cool.
I know, finally. It's taken forever. I recently hit the ripe old age of 300.
Oh, yeah.
I know. Minus a 0 from there, I might be right.
Yeah.
And it's weird. The brain's just kind of changed overnight.
What, that instantaneously?
It's very weird. I thought it was like a joke thing, like in Kevin and Perry, where he becomes a teenager and his instant personality.
Oh, yeah. It's a great scene.
It was kind of like that, and it's bizarre. I've got a lot of look into the future going on at the moment.
I wonder if there's actual science behind that.
It'd be fascinating, or if something just hit me in the head. So
Possible. Anything else you want to mention out in terms of like films and stuff like that? Although I know you have a lot to say on this episode.
I do. I think I'm going to save quite a lot of that for the end, because
fair enough.
I don't think there's been much that's come out so far that I've
new
engaged
stuff
with.
No,
Yeah.
Especially good stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I think everyone's kind of waiting for the hopefully good stuff to release, and we've got that in the next couple months or so. Fingers crossed. Over the course of the last 2 weeks since the previous podcast, I did some mass organizing. I went through 3 years of archive and data and files on my external hard drives and basically spent roughly all my free time over the course of 15 days organizing those external hard drives. I'm now officially done with 2020 to 2022. We're now ready for 2023. It's all done. I'm shocked with how much free time I now have, where I'm literally sitting there and it's like 8 o'clock and I'm like, I don't know what to do.
Honestly, though, I'm so happy you actually get it done.
Yes.
Because there was so bloody much.
There was so much. It was infamous. Everyone knew about the files I had to save, and it was like people whispering, rumors going around. He'd never get it done, But
Even the Pentagon was contacted.
Yes, they were getting very concerned.
Yeah, you're getting those files sorted, Raccoon.
Yeah,
we need them now.
Just a little insight to my actual job, but. Other than that, because I have so much free time, I actually managed to watch 2 films.
Oh, nice.
Yes, something I don't really do too often on the podcast, and I hated that. I hated the fact that I'd get on the podcast and be like, yep, straight to trailers. But I got 2 films to talk about. One I really liked, one I didn't really like. First one I want to talk about is Disney's Strange World. This is their newest animated film, and I can completely understand why it flopped.
Yep.
It is a weird film, pun in and unintended, in that I was watching it and I was saying to myself, it feels like 2 people made this film and they couldn't agree.
Oh.
And this film does have a director and a co-director.
Yeah.
So it definitely got my suspicions going, or confirmed, however you want to talk about that. But there's just some really odd things in this that just don't make much sense. Like, I'm going to spoil the beginning of the film, but here's the thing, you don't see much in the beginning. Literally, once you get past the ridiculously beautifully rendered Disney Castle logo, you see a map. And then the word Strange World, the logo just appears.
Oh. Well.
And then they proceed to do like an old-timey, like, oh, back in the day, the world was like this. And, oh, here's the hero, which is fine.
Yeah.
That scene is, I won't spoil it, very well done. And then it cuts to the actual animation of the film. We kind of have like another introduction.
Okay.
And then throughout the whole film, because obviously it's a throwback to 70s, 60s, even further, like, old serials, sci-fi, that kind of stuff, they transition scenes with like the iris transition.
Yeah.
They are so quick that it looks like a blank missing frame sometimes.
Oh, God.
And they are so jarring to the point where, from an aesthetical point, they will be in a pink world, and then it will iris to a green world.
Oh.
And there's no transition, and there's no like pacing. Like, it's just done with this scene,
That's ridiculous. What the fuck?
It feels like Disney only gave them an hour and 45 minutes.
Yeah.
And they just scrambled to do things, or the concept didn't quite work. It's a really weird film. And honestly, I think it's really boring.
Oh, no.
It's a cool concept, but once they get to the quote-unquote strange world, it just gets really boring for a while, where...
It's supposed to be strange. The whole, name of it. What the fuck?
I will give the film props. The world and the imagination is there. It's not the greatest I've seen, because some of it is a bit whatever, but it's weird because it kind of just boils down to family drama.
Yeah.
To the point where you have literally 2 scenes back to back where 2 characters just talk. And for a child who wants to watch a Disney film called Strange World, they are not going to be interested in this film.
Yeah, it sounds almost like Lost in Space, but more family drama oriented.
It sounds like Lost in Space, directed by Netflix.
Oh, bloody hell.
Although I would say probably Strange World is better than that.
Yeah, fair.
But it's not a great film, unfortunately. It's kind of surprising because this is Disney's flagship animated film, and it kind of falls so far, and it's just so uninteresting in a lot of sense. I can kind of see although the film doesn't present a twist, I can kind of see the twist coming a mile away. I was surprised that I was half right.
Oh.
It's kind of obvious.
I think I can already put it together in my mind.
It's kind of obvious what's going on.
Yeah.
And I was just like, especially if you know a lot about film, science fiction, all that, and I was just like, it's fine. I'm fine with that being a concept in a Disney film, but I was just like, could have tried a bit harder with that. But the other film I watched, which is the good film, and another film that actually shocked me, was Barbarian.
Oh,
released last year. I watched this film, and throughout this film, I was sitting there going, when's it going to get bad? When is the twist going to be terrible and I'm going to go on Twitter and type about it?
Yeah.
But it never was.
Damn, nice.
It just was a good film. And the base premise of this film is like a young lady, she's staying in town somewhere in Detroit, and she's rented an Airbnb to find that someone else is already there.
Yep.
So already an awkward and kind of horrific example, and that whole setup is really well done, and things kind of escalate where things get discovered. There is an odd, eerie sense throughout from the moment the film starts. You know something's up. You don't know if it's with this guy who's here, because obviously she is not trusting him at all, and he's trying everything in his power to seem more trustworthy, but he just comes across as really awkward,
just makes you more suspicious.
And the film does play on that, where you can't tell if the film is trying to do this intentionally or is this all planned? You don't know what's going on, but things do get revealed, and I don't want to say anything else. It's a really good film. It just feels like a classic thriller horror film, which is shocking to see. So if you like Jordan Peele and other things like Ari Aster and stuff like that, you will really like this film, because it has that classic, this is a film kind of thing. There's no setup or sequel bait or whatever.
It's got a very, from that description, creep vibe, which
a little bit. There's some stuff you will actually like in this film.
I'm excited.
From a technical standpoint, which I was very impressed with, to say the least. But if you haven't seen this film, please go watch it. It's fantastic. I know there was a lot of hype about this film, which I didn't know anything about. I didn't look into it. I'd talked about the trailer on the podcast, and that was about it. But I didn't realize that people were really hyping this film up. So please don't go into this film knowing anything. It's probably best that way. But because there were some actually really nice surprises in there. But that's me for the most part. And we've got only 3 trailers to talk about, all horror related, all weirdly enough releasing in April, which we discovered.
That's why I'm here. Because it's horror time again.
It's horror time again.
April is the new October.
First trailer we have to talk about is the big one. It is Evil Dead Rise. This has been somewhat hyped for a while, because obviously it's Evil Dead, Sam Raimi, his legacy. Another film after the somewhat disappointing mixed remake film.
I love that remake. I'm sorry.
I'm mixed on it. Part of the reason why I'm mixed on it is because I went to go see that film with Ferret and Obsidian. And they were making fun of that film the whole time. The walk back from the cinema was one of the funniest teardowns of a film I've heard in a while.
I went to see that with an ex of mine on Valentine's Day, and
perfect.
It just made it even better for me. So I loved it.
I bet it did. But we have this new film, which kind of seemed a lot more original, but obviously with familiar visuals, themes, and that kind of stuff. And the Evil Dead series has had like a bit of a like renaissance recently. Obviously, you had like Ash vs. the Evil Dead, which finished a little while ago. You have like the new game that released last year, and now we've got this film, which I do kind of have some mixed feelings on. But I kind of want to hear your take so far on this trailer.
So I like it. Like it's still got that kind of hard like horror drama from the Evil Dead remake, which I really enjoyed because my favourite Evil Deads are the original, which was more horror, less comedy, and the remake. So I like that they're still going for that. I like the like little bits of body horror that you see in the trailer, like the needle near the eye and the stuff poking through the skin. And I quite like that it's a weird like family oriented thing.
Dynamic,
and
yeah.
It all seems to be women as well, so an interesting take.
As far as we can tell, yeah.
So I'm actually very excited from this.
Yeah, I mean, I do like the modern take on... It's basically like a modern take on the first film to some extent, if it was done today. You know, with it mostly taking part in like a flat and like, you know, kind of keeping that claustrophobic element that the first film had with the cabin. Like, you know, that element of no escape. And like, it's a really nice twist, like the family dynamic, like we mentioned as well. Like, because... universally your house or your family, that's like the safest thing ever, and now they're basically trapped in this apartment you know, in a living hell, and like you can't hide. Where are you gonna hide? Like this person knows exactly where you got. They're gonna find you eventually, and that kind of stuff. And like running with that dynamic, like having the mother and maybe other family members being the possessed deadite is an interesting concept, as like it's very distressing to like see someone you love like that.
Yeah, it flips the whole like power thing of parental guidance on its head, and it's magical. Yeah,
especially a child seeing their mother like that is a little bit heartbreaking for the most part. And I mean, because usually you see mothers in horror films or any kind of medium as like, you know, innocent protectors, that kind of stuff. So to kind of hit you with that situation of, oh yeah, mum's trying to kill me.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, it's a bit much. And I mean, like, if the Deadite is jumping between like people in order to like destroy the family, that's an interesting concept as well, I think. As like there are scenes where the mother isn't possessed, which I'm assuming take place after certain scenes where she is.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure what that's about. And obviously you got like her with the chainsaw and, you know, her talking to her daughter and like, you know, she does say to the daughter she's going to get this out of you. So I don't know if the daughter is possessed at that point, but still fighting it off or something. It's hard to say.
Yeah,
hard to say.
It's very possible like they could be doing a new different kind of like Deadite thing with it as well.
Yeah.
As you said, whether it's jumping from person to person or not.
Yeah.
That could be very interesting.
Because, I mean, you know, they legitimately like to mess with people. That's kind of what they do, you know, just taking over people's bodies and kind of just, messing with you for that most part. And, like, I'm guessing the mother is kind of going to be like a tragic anti-hero to some extent, which is interesting. If that's the case, I do wonder if she still qualifies for Mother of the Year.
I mean, we could have a new award for her.
Like, she killed a bunch of people. She saved a family.
You know what? I like that.
I mean, the practical effects, like you mentioned, they're really good. They have like a nice middle ground of like campy.
Yes.
Like B-movie stuff with like the eye, the needle to the eye. That's very like, you know, in 3D. You know, like the close-ups and like, you know, the awful scene with like the glass through the skin, which is just... Oh, I'm not looking forward to that.
That's beautiful. I can't wait for that.
It's well done, but like the sound design as well, and just like the shot of that, and it doesn't burst through the skin. It's just there.
Punking.
That's awful. Like, my only really worries about this film is that like, I kind of feel like it's playing it a little bit too straight to some extent. Like, I've always seen it as a comedy series.
I get you.
And I think it's kind of missing that kind of comedic edge to some extent. I'm not saying it has to be a comedy.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that. But it kind of feels like they're trying to scream serious horror a little bit too much. Like they're almost kind of saying like, this is a horror film, guys. It's horror. It's Evil Dead. That's why you like Evil Dead. And like the comedic element would help it stand out compared to other horror films. That's like the thing I'm most worried about, is that it's going to come across as just a horror film. Oh, I've seen that. I saw The Devil Within Me where she got possessed. It's just like that. I'm not going to bother with it. You know, and also like, who's the main character? Like, who am I supposed to be rooting for?
I'm very intrigued to see that, because I don't know if they're like doing a little twist bit where you think a certain person and during the actual film you're never sure, or it could be like with the Babadook, where kind of leans between the child and the mum. Because you see it from each of their perspectives.
Yeah. Yeah, I do wonder, because like if these characters are not likable, this film will fall apart.
Oh, yeah.
Because there's one thing we know about The Evil Dead, it has a likable character that you want to watch. And if they don't, that's it. You have to try it again 7 years from now.
Fair.
Or whatever. Like, and I also have to bring this up, because it is a bit of a pet peeve, but like, why the hell would you touch a book that looks like that?
I mean, alright, so this is going to sound like this stupid person thing, but I would. If I see that, I'd go, oh yeah, this is cool. Just scrolling through. And
In the context of the film, I can understand someone not seeing that it's bound by skin.
Yeah.
But it has teeth.
Yeah.
It looks like something out of Harry Potter.
See, that just makes me want to open it more.
I would like it's not like human teeth, like teeth of an animal that does not exist.
See, you're just opening the book to me right now.
I would. I feel that's a bit silly. I can understand if the Deadite did that.
Oh, yeah.
If someone's possessed, but like the fact is like, oh, let me have a look. That's when it's like, I'm a bit like, oh, okay. You could have thought of like a cleverer way to do that. Like in the first film, it made sense. Like a different time, curious, it was an accident, that kind of stuff. And at least that kind of has rippling effects through the whole series. I got to undo this mess that I started.
Yeah.
Which makes sense. Ash is apparently not in this film.
Fair.
Which is interesting. I know he's kind of retired the character.
Yeah, I think after Ash vs Evil Dead and like any voice acting stuff for like the game, then I can imagine him not being in anything else.
It's fine. I'm sure he wants to like enjoy his retirement or whatever. I mean that in a nice way, obviously.
Oh yeah.
Because he's done so much. He's been in so many great films and he's played so many characters. So he can put the mantle up as being one of the greatest fictional characters of all time now because he deserves it.
100%. And I think if you didn't see too much comedy in there, I think we've got something just right up your alley,
Oh, yes,
Raccoon.
we do. Excellent segue. Ace?
Well, for this one, it is Renfield, a nice comedy horror looking film starring Nicholas Hall as the titular Renfield, Dracula's assistant.
Yes.
And I just have to say before I get into it, perfect casting for Dracula with Nicolas Cage.
Yes.
That is beautiful.
Yes. They knew exactly what they were doing and they nailed it.
And if there's not a Kiss of the Vampire reference in there, I'll be a little bit sad.
They have to.
They have to.
They have
They
to.
honestly do.
Like, if they don't, worst film of the year.
Oh, yeah. But what it looks like is Renfield has possibly, he's in the modern day now. I don't know if he's somehow been living on insects and animals throughout this with Dracula, and he's gone to, it's kind of like the AA kind of meetings to talk about his boss being Dracula. And somehow things are not going to go well.
No.
Dracula gets involved. But a nice little twist that they've done here, he seems to gain power from eating the animals. And that's honestly pretty cool.
Yeah.
It's a unique aspect.
It's a video game like.
Yeah. Because Renfield's always just been, I'm this crazy person, if I get life essence from animal, I'm like Dracula.
Yeah, and then they sometimes don't know how to utilize him as a character, like in not Bram Stoker's Dracula, but what's the best Dracula film?
I love the Coppola one.
Yeah, Coppola.
Yeah, Francis Ford Coppola.
Francis Ford Coppola's ones, which is complicated because it's Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula is the full title of it. Renfield is Tom Waits.
Oh, which was excellent casting.
Brilliant casting. Love the albums, mate.
Oh,
but,
that silky smooth voice.
Exactly. And he's the best looking Renfield in my opinion. And he's just standing there like Silence of the Lambs, before Silence of the Lambs. And then I know they kind of messed up the character in the BBC Dracula series.
Very much.
Where he's just like some businessman. And I was just like, oh.
Yeah.
But here it looks like they've actually done something with the character. Because when I was watching the trailer, my first thought was, is that the guy from Skins?
Oh, yeah.
And it is the guy from Skins. I love this guy as an actor. Giving a character that basically has no character who kind of can be considered a slave or whatever, a character is a great idea.
It's perfect, and you can actually explore what actually got him to be, because the most there is from the character is that maybe he was what Jonathan Harker was beforehand. So I love this.
Yeah, there is so much you can do with basically a blank canvas. And it's basically John Wick beats Dracula dead and loving it to some extent. Which is a reference no one's going to get.
It's literally just us two. That's it.
We're the only people that have seen Dracula dead and loving it. And I'm cool with that. I really hope and like the sort of in the trailer the wraparound narrative with the AA meeting, having Renfield like seeking the help and kind of speaking about this stuff and the support people kind of like coming in there like, because they can technically relate to that situation, which is it's a really great like misunderstanding comedy setup, which I kind of hope that that's like what we're gonna keep cutting back to. I feel like we're not, but I think that'd be really funny just to have like certain scenes of him recalling things, just have like if they do go down that route of the obligatory black leg going, what?
Yeah.
What you saying, boy? That kind of stuff, which it would be campy and cheesy. That's kind of what they're going for to some extent.
Which is honestly perfect because, again, as you were saying, we do need that kind of difference because there's a lot of that kind of heightened horror, quote unquote, going on, and a bit of difference is always good.
Yeah, and it looks like someone knows exactly what they're doing to some extent. And I mean, I like the two little great details in the trailer, like with Renfield's like the classic yellow eyes, like becoming a monster, harking back to the Wolfman, as well as the fact of the support leader essentially welcoming Dracula in because everyone is welcome in the support group, which is a nice touch. And I mean, I guess he's he kind of like a superhero, tragic anti-hero again, which is fine. He's going to be doing John Wick.
John Wick.
Yeah, I don't know what I said there.
Oh, John Wick.
I said John Woo, I think that's what I said.
I like that, actually.
Let's get John Woo for the sequel.
That's the hybrid of John Woo and John Wick. John Wick.
Basically, yeah. The lighting, fantastic. Everyone is just covered in that green and that red, and it's so...
I miss colours in films.
Yeah, more people need to watch Suspiria.
Oh, hell yeah.
Because if you want to see colour in film, you watch Suspiria. And I think, I do, the action looks great. I think this is definitely going to be the kind of film that teenage boys leave the cinema going, Renfield was awesome. You see the bit we cut that guy's hand off?
He used a little platter for that.
Yeah, and he punched the guy and his head blew up. That's going to be every like 13-year-old boy leaving the film. Oh, yeah. That's going to be their first like 12A film that they can see with their friends. And of course, Nicolas Cage looks great, but so stupid.
Oh, perfect.
Like, he is hamming it up. Like you said before, perfect casting. I hope this film is going to be great.
Same. I'm honestly so excited for April.
It's going to be a busy month because we also have another film to talk about, which you have as well.
I do indeed. This one is Beau is Afraid, starring Joaquin Phoenix as a very confused man.
Yes.
Who seems to just want to go home, and whether things keep getting in the way or he is getting in his own way, I'm not quite sure because that trailer was quite confusing
it's out there, yeah. I mean, if Joaquin Phoenix isn't killing someone or taking pills in this film, then not bothering with it.
Yeah,
because that's why you hire him.
Pretty much. I mean, there was one scene that looked like he's in a war zone.
Yeah, and people didn't have faces.
Yeah, which fascinating.
What's going on there. But I guess we're gonna kind of address the elephant in the room. This is the third film from Ari Aster.
Yes, I was waiting to mention that bit.
A director who seems to divide audiences with his films. You either love or hate Hereditary and Midsommar.
See, I find Hereditary to be an unintentional comedy. I can't stop laughing at that film. Exactly.
This is where like the discussion starts. Because it's like, I like Hereditary up until that one scene. And then, because I was watching it, I was all on board, and it's that one scene, I'm like, what is this?
Oh, are we both talking the lamppost scene? Or not?
No.
Oh, I love that one.
Just towards the end.
Oh yeah, that bit's funny too.
Let's just say this was, no one was flossing in this film. Let's just say that much. But yeah, that's what makes this film kind of interesting, because people have a lot to say. I don't think he's technically doing that intentionally, but I think I give him props. He's making films.
Yeah.
Unlike so many people who are like trying to sell you a series or an experience. And like,
I feel like he's like taken a Yorgos Lanthimos like influence in this one.
Maybe.
Like that kind of absurdism that's so natural in his films.
Maybe, because it's meant to be a horror comedy.
Yeah.
Reportedly, this is going to be 4 hours long.
Oh, all right. Now I'm even more interested.
Whether that's true or not, or still true, I don't know. Maybe we'll get a director's cut that is 4 hours long. It is interesting. And I mean, like, what even is this film?
Exactly. It seems to just delve into I'm guessing it's into Joaquin Phoenix's character's mind, like Beau.
Yeah.
Because it cuts from like this amazingly colourful, weird place that's almost animated.
I think it is animated, actually.
And then you're going into just some normal bits in the world, like very creepy people who seem to be looking after him, but they're not overtly creepy.
Yeah.
It's like a subtleness.
Yeah.
And then there was obviously the bit with the faceless Warzone bits.
Yeah. And like the apocalypse is happening.
Yeah.
Maybe. And like he's going on like a spiritual, existential adventure, and like we're told nothing, and that's great.
Yeah.
And like the contrast between the real world and this world is quite interesting. Like they've definitely nailed like that dreamlike storybook, children's story aesthetic, and the backgrounds are beautiful, whether animated or practical. They look really nice, and like I'm getting a lot of Misery and like Twin Peaks vibes. When I saw the angel, I was like, yeah, someone's watched Twin Peaks recently.
Oh, that was just me again.
Yeah. Well, why are you not watching Twin Peaks for the most part? And like the mixing of the CGI and the colorful animation just looks really well, and like kind of gives it an odd, like cartoony vibe. Because like there's parts where it looks like it's CGI, but it's actually animation, like drawn on. I do wonder if that's like an intentional thing that feeds into the film or whatever, because there is some kind of connection between him as a child and something going on with his mother. I don't know what's that about, but yeah. It's an interesting one.
Yeah, I want to find out what makes Beau afraid.
Yeah. The question everyone's asking in 2023.
Why is Beau afraid?
Yeah. You can see that be the TikTok marketing.
Oh, God.
You know, get the same guy who's been doing all the marketing for Megan. Let's get Beau doing a TikTok dance that all the kids can do.
You know what? I would actually be surprised.
Well, that's the thing, because Megan is made for TikTok people.
Yeah.
Because it's like, we got a professional dancer who's doing the dance. Now you can do the dance and promote Megan, the film with a dancing robot in it.
Oh.
It upsets me that film has done well in the box office, but then again, everyone likes a gimmick. Yeah. We got our discussion, which requires me to shut up for a bit. As Ace, you are going to be talking about some of your picks from 2022. Which feels like it was like months ago.
Honestly, so much has happened. It's bizarre. But I kind of like that it's still only January.
Yeah, just barely. But I guess you can take it away with some of your best picks. I will say this is going to be like a slightly more condensed-ish version. Yeah, because obviously, time's passed. But kick it away.
I'm going to start with books, and there's only one book, and only everyone needs to read it.
Only one book was released last year, as we all know.
It's the only book that anyone ever should read, and that is called Chainsaw Man.
Oh, yeah.
It is an amazing manga. It's fantastic. It finished its first, like, full-on story at chapter 97, and it's still going on. I'm up to date with it, and it is one of the best mangas I've ever read.
Still going? I thought it finished.
It did finish, and they started at chapter 2.
Interesting.
And it is even cooler somehow. I'm shocked.
That's funny, because there's a video that they keep recommending to me on YouTube about like how Chainsaw Man was almost perfect, done by some fuckhead on YouTube.
Oh, God.
And you always get that. When an ending doesn't end a certain way, some hipster idiot always makes a video about how the ending was bad and this. So obviously his video is now even more redundant because that's not the ending. And I mean, fuck you for kind of making that stupid statement. Don't try and make your opinion factual or whatever it is you're trying to sway it as.
And trust me, that ending is honestly amazing. I was like mouth dropped reading that stuff. And some of the artwork, some of the paneling.
Oh, it's really nice.
It's beautiful.
Just for reference, I really love the design of the Bat Demon.
Oh, hell yeah.
I love that thing.
Something I will be talking about, but there's a nice little animation bit that was added extra into the anime. Okay. It wasn't even in the manga.
I need to catch up.
Oh, hell yeah.
But I got the time to do that, but yeah, go on, keep going.
So that's the only book that matters.
Fair enough.
From now to the end of the world. So give it a few years. Global warming's coming.
All right.
Onto anime, because I didn't watch too many live action TV shows, so it's basically just anime. And gonna start off strong already. Cyberpunk Edge Runners.
Oh yeah.
Absolutely amazing. Astonishing animation.
One of the highest ranking things on Netflix of all time.
It's beautiful, and the story is fantastic. Characters are so good. Even characters that only appeared for a little bit, still stuck in my brain. And the music, perfect.
What's her name? Rebecca?
Oh, yes, Rebecca. She is great.
Fun fact about Rebecca I have, which I have been telling people. CD Projekt Red, CD Projekt Red,
Yeah.
wanted to remove that character.
Are you serious?
Yes.
Why?
And
She's
Trigger
amazing.
Studios, who made this series and obviously did a fantastic job, fought and kept her in.
Good, because there's a really heartbreaking moment that wouldn't work without her.
Yeah, so clearly someone knows what they're talking about and someone doesn't.
And trust me, they take all the aspects of that world and use it so well. How they depict certain things like cyberpsychosis is amazing with the flashing kind of eye imagery. It's beautiful. I highly recommend everyone watch it.
It is on my list.
My second favourite anime is Chainsaw Man.
What a surprise.
Second, though.
Okay.
And trust me, the animation is superb. I'm shocked that it's actually 3D animation.
Yeah.
Because it looks stunningly 2D.
Yeah, I stayed away from it because I wanted to go into it quite cold, despite seeing things and that. But even when we watched the trailer, I was like, "What is this?"
Exactly.
Like, someone gave them all the money.
Yeah. And they did so much justice to the show, to the manga, because I was shocked at how good it was. And one little note, the ending for every episode, different for every episode.
Yeah, I heard about that. People are starting to do that now.
It is
I think
beautiful.
because I remember seeing, I don't know what his name is, but the little dog chainsaw thing.
Oh yeah, Pochita, that's it.
I saw someone on Twitter who did the animation of him, the walk cycle of him, and they were kind of talking about how they were going into the details of doing each ending, which I didn't look at because I didn't want any spoilers, didn't want to see it, but I'm interested to see what they do with each one. And he's just really cool, that character.
He is beautiful.
I remember just randomly seeing on my YouTube recommendations, it was a live stream of him barking until the season finale. So
that's beautiful.
the hype was there.
And number one for my anime of the year, Call of the Night, which is a very low-key, nice, atmospheric, vibey vampire anime about a guy who just wanders around at night because he doesn't want to go to school and he doesn't know what he wants to do in his life. And he just runs into this vampire girl who pretty much just...
Oh, that series. She has a really odd design.
It is
in a good way,
perfect.
I mean.
She's probably one of the best written characters I've seen in a while.
I forgot that got an anime because I really like the art style. I really like her design.
Trust me, it's amazing. And it's got the best opening of any anime that year. It is fantastic. Even drops halfway through to pure silence as it's just chilling. Like, oh, it's over. Bang, straight back in.
You thought wrong.
Exactly. It was fantastic. And honestly, everyone watch it. It's like low chill vibes to just enjoy. It really is.
Fair enough.
Films, I'm going to get through these quite quickly.
Fair enough.
So Everything Everywhere All at Once.
Yep.
The multiversing traveling movie. It was really, really good. Mm-hmm. My only issue is I've seen so much multiversy stuff that it wasn't as original to me.
Yeah, okay.
But there was some nice thematic stuff that saved it. So I have to say, still worth a watch.
Mm-hmm. On my list.
Glass Onion.
Oh,
the
yeah.
second Knives Out film. Not as good as first, but still amazing. And Benoit Blanc is still one of the best characters of the modern day. That accent Daniel Craig does is so bizarre, but I love it.
Yeah, I've seen the shot of him sitting in the bathtub with that stupid hat on, and I'm just like, what is going on?
It was perfect. Number 3 is Nope.
Yep, of course.
Fantastic Jordan Peele movie. I'm happy he is still going strong, and Jesus, the design is amazing in that.
Yes. Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
I need an unfolding thing like art book just to see every little intricacy of that.
Yeah, there was no art book of it.
It needs one.
It does. It really does.
And I need the hat in there too.
Yes.
It's a fantastic
Stephen
hat.
Yen's hats.
Number 2, The Northman. Robert Eggers' latest.
Yeah.
And it is... I wouldn't say it's as good as the previous two because I love those so much. But it still has his weird charm and that absurd little moments that's so natural to that kind of society. And there's a really fun action scene. Quite a few, actually. And the best scene ever has Willem Dafoe in it. So of course
Of course he would be in it, yeah.
My number 1 film is X.
Oh yeah.
It's a nice throwback horror. I have forgotten the director's name, but it stars Mia Goth, and
Yes.
it is very fantastic.
Mm.
All low-key, like, just on this kind of ranch where they're filming a porno. And obviously, it's a horror. Shit's going to go wrong. And you end up being quite surprised what's causing it.
Okay. Did you see the prequel?
I have got it ready to watch. I have
Okay.
not watched it yet.
Oh.
And they're doing a third one.
Yeah, which I don't know what that's about, but
Oh, it's following the girl from the first one.
from X.
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's honestly pretty
Interesting.
damn cool.
Yeah. Sounds it though.
Games.
Oh yeah.
So I did not manage to play many games. I was very busy. So the few that I did play, I really enjoyed. There was Ghostwire Tokyo.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say I liked it less for the gameplay itself because it does get repetitive. But I just love anything that's got any sort of like yokai or Japanese mythology in it. And it executes it so nicely. And I honestly just want to go explore in that world and just like sit and watch the creatures roam.
Yeah, as someone who has actually been to Tokyo twice, it was very well researched.
Yeah.
Like, it was, like, scarily like, yeah, I've been down this alleyway. And yes, a lot of the designs with the yokai, like having the Nekomatas be, like, the vendors and some of the more monster designs as well were really well done, I thought.
Yeah, it was really nice. And if they do a sequel, they need a little bit change up in the gameplay. Something like a more unique mechanic in there.
Different characters that do different spells.
Yeah.
Something like that.
Number 3, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't fully finished it, but I have enjoyed the multiple changes that they've done, because they're all stuff I've said Pokemon should have had for a long time. It's still too easy, but pretty much every Pokemon game is.
Yeah.
And I love some of the cute little designs. All the really chubby Pokemon are amazing. I've never been a fan of the anthropomorphic ones, but that's just me.
I mean, I a lot of people like that, but I've always just seen it as like the best example of showing evolution.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, which doesn't make sense when the fire one doesn't do that, and I'm just like, what are you doing? But okay. Like the two other ones do, they stand on 2 legs, and this one goes back to 4 legs, and I'm like, what happened?
See, the fire one's my favourite of the bunch.
I don't really like the fire one, to be honest. I can't.
I actually have a plush toy of him. That's how much I like him. He's
Okay,
like
fair
my
enough.
funny little goofball.
He's your funny little man.
Exactly. Number 2 game, The Quarry. Supermassive's. It's not the latest because another game's come out since.
Devil
which I'm playing
Within Me.
Devil in Me,
Yeah.
Great story. Not as good as Until Dawn, but
Oh.
very much can be that good.
Okay.
As far as those kind of interactive movie games. But the characters were really fun. There was a few bits that they missed out, but I absolutely loved some of the people in there. And
Okay.
one of my favourite, like, odd actors who's in a lot of things, like he was in the National Lampoon's, like the Vacation, the new one. He was
Okay.
the son in that. He's in there, and he's brilliant as always. Number 1, and this should be obvious to anyone who played games, Elden Ring. It was astonishing.
What, no God of War? Ragnarok, the best game ever made?
I don't put films on the game category, thank you.
Yeah, that's part of the rules.
Quarry's more of a game.
Yes,
Sorry.
unfortunately it is, because it lets you play it.
But
It gives you options.
Yeah, it really does.
Other than the talking squirrel, there's nothing redeeming in...
Pretty much no. Well,
Ragnarok.
actually, I like Fat 4 because that's part of natural Norse mythology. So
They did their research, and I'll give them that.
yeah, that's literally it. But Elden Ring was a fantastic evolution of like From Software's Soul-style games, the open world, the sheer freedom that you can do, and I just loved being able to demolish everything because I'm so good at these games now.
Yeah. I mean, the only downside about that game was that there was no easy mode, as we all know.
Oh yeah, you know what? It's not on my list anymore. I have to get rid of it.
From Software need to hurry up and fix that game,
Yeah.
because if I can't beat it, then it's a bad game.
That's true. I am working for which one is it today? IGN. Yeah, I think that's it. And onto songs. I actually have music this year. It's been a weird time.
Well, like we said, new year, new me.
Exactly. So I'm going to start up with my honourable mentions.
Which category is this in? Is it songs? Sorry.
Oh, I put songs and albums all in one.
Fair
so
enough.
I'll specify what it is.
Fair enough.
So it's the song About You, released by Little Peep, obviously posthumously because he died quite a few years ago. And it is a fantastic one. It's got his whole like chill emo rap vibe going throughout, and the lyrics are just as fantastic as always. Number 2 is Breakdown by Tessa Violet, who's a pop artist that I really love, and no one seems to really know who she is.
Yeah.
And it's bizarre because she's fantastic. She's gone from like low-key kind of sad pop stuff to a nice upbeat, happy romantic, and now she's got some really amazing beats on this album so far. Breakdown, it's got distorted beat that's so heavy, it hits you in your heart. It is amazing.
This song will hurt you.
It will. And then there's the mainstream sellout Life in Pink deluxe version by Machine Gun Kelly.
Oh, yeah.
It's got 2 extra songs on it, and they're 2 new ones, and they're amazing. 9 Lives, and I can't actually remember the next song. Life in Glaive or Glaive's on it. I'm really bad at names at the moment.
The new songs on the new album.
Exactly. Excellent songs, really enjoying it. I'm happy pop punk is like returning to mainstream.
Yeah, which is good.
And on to the actual top 10.
Okay.
It's not really in a proper order.
Fair enough.
First one being Your Mum by
You say what?
by Wet Leg. It's a fantastic Australian duo, and the song is just amazing teardown of these types of like modern men who disappoint their family because they're such idiots. It is beautiful, and iconic moment of the song is just like, I'm gonna give my longest, loudest scream. She just
screams for a minute or so.
It's amazing. Number 9 is I Really Want to Stay at Your House by Rosie Walton and Hayley Coggins. This was featured on the Cyberpunk Edge Runners, anime. So
soundtrack, yeah.
And it is fantastic mixture of electro-punk, like electro-pop, and it goes heavily distorted, and it is beautiful. I can't get enough of it. The next one, The Foundations of Decay by My Chemical Romance. When this released at the start of the year, I think my heart just broke at how good it was.
I think everyone's heart did, because everyone just didn't know what to do.
I know, it was like an amazing 5-minute build-up of this weird alternative style that they haven't done before, and I'm so excited because they said they're going to release another album.
Oh, good.
And I got to see them live in 2022
yeah,
as well.
You told me, yeah.
And they played it, and I was so happy. It was amazing.
Good stuff.
So this is the first album I'm going to talk about.
Okay.
Smithereens by Joji. He's released more of his very low pop stuff after his previous album, and it is got the perfect midnight 3 a.m. vibes, and I absolutely love it.
He's really mastered that sound.
He has.
He has it cornered pretty much.
Pretty much. Almost no one can beat him or get on his level, but the next one at least got there. Jakey with his song Tommy Hanks on his album. Excellent, very fast, high pitched because he distorted his voice. That's just going on about him and his life and like in love with someone, about how he'll be someone's Tommy Hanks, and it's so good. I can't get enough of it. The whole album is good too, but this one's just a
standout track.
It really is. Next, which will be number 5, Numb Little Bug by M. Byhold. Is a really cool, obscure pop song as well.
I thought you were going to say M. Bison there for a sec. I don't know why.
Well, she is now. She's the boss.
Yeah. Ooh.
And it's all about how she's trying to live her life, and so much of it is really hard to get through, but she's still doing it because she doesn't want to give up. But it's set to this really cool, upbeat track, and it's beautiful. Everyone should listen to it.
Okay.
Number 4 is Sleeping Through Sunshine by Colts. Colts, again, they've also got very low-key stuff. It's a nice little slow kind of pop track. Very atmospheric and very winding. It's beautiful. Number 3, Strangers by Bring Me the Horizon.
Okay.
Some nice heavy metal on here. Not as heavy as their old stuff, but really good and honestly very crowd-pleasing. I could see a lot of non-rock people enjoying this song.
Okay.
And the lyrics, they are as poetic as always.
Good.
Number 2, the album Youngblood by Youngblood.
Self-titled.
Exactly. He did previously have an EP called Youngblood, which makes it confusing.
Yeah.
But it is fantastic. He's got so many different rock influences on this album. He has some nice features, including Willow on the song Memories, which beautiful. And it's only about 2-3 minutes long.
That song?
Yeah.
Okay.
And the whole album is fantastic. I think anyone that likes rock music and they want some modern stuff that's pop enjoy it. Mm-hmm. Standout song, Boy in the Black Dress. A nice kind of autobiography. And it is so sad and beautiful. And number 1, the heaviest song on the list, Just Pretend by Bad Omens. It is a beautiful post-hardcore track, and I am happy that this stuff is returning because I need this heavy music.
We need this variety.
We really do.
It's kind of pop music's kind of been taken over by too much of the same thing, and it's like now it's time for younger people to finally start finding these older artists, newer artists, and kind of start putting those guys on a pedestal, which is good to hear, or see more accurately.
But I'm just so happy that this music is returning, and I love it. So that's the music I had. That's everything I got for 2022. And I hope people enjoy if they check any of it out.
So you got a lot to watch, play, and listen to now.
Definitely.
On top of our previous one.
Also just one book everyone has to read.
Yes, just one. Just the one. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be the podcast. We do have the video of the episode, which is going to be Ginger Root with Loneliness. To kind of stay with music, this is an EP I did not listen to before the end of 2022, and I regret it because it is fantastic. He's repping that city pop, as they call it, as I guess how we call it, but it was more or less Japanese pop music during the 80s and the 90s, and he's kind of really honed that and kind of parodying it, but doing it really well, where it doesn't feel like a gimmick, it just kind of feels like a sound, which I think is really good, and a fantastic music video as well that kind of keeps with the aesthetic for the most part.
As soon as I heard it, I put it on my playlist, so you do the same.
Yes, you better. Anything else you want to add to this podcast?
Honestly, I think that's it. I think I got everything I needed to say out.
Fair enough. Ace, I want to thank you for being on this episode.
Always.
It's always a pleasure to have you on there and everyone else. I want to try and get more people on more regularly. I know it's like things don't really work out now as much, but yeah. You can, as I think I said this on the previous podcast, I'm going to post the podcast on YouTube via a post because I'm now allowed to do that. Don't bother with the Twitter. I'm not bothered with that anymore.
Yep.
Hopefully newer things. I've been working on newer videos, projects, plans, all coming up. So hopefully in the future, it won't just be the podcast going up on this channel. It's all kicking off to some extent. Hopefully 2023 is going to be a good year because I don't have distractions of disease and other things to get in the way. But yeah, on that note, I guess I will end this podcast like I always do by saying I was the Angry Raccoon.
I am Ace.
And we will see you on the next podcast.